Good morning, or by the time I have edited this, uploaded it, and you are seeing this, it will probably be afternoon, evening for most of you. Today, I have a very interesting topic, at least I find it interesting, and I want to read to you from a book that I am currently reading. The book is called The Happiness Cure. It's by Dr. Anders Hansen. He is a Swedish psychiatrist, and this is a very interesting book about why, even though in Europe at the moment, if we take politics out and we take the horrible things that are happening in the world at the moment out, and we just look at the time that we live in, we have never lived in a more stable, easy time. Generations before us saw world wars, children didn't live to see their 30s, people worked very long hours in factories and in manual labor. The time we live in now, we have it quite easy. We can work online, we can work from home, we can make money from our phones. We don't even have to leave our bed. Why then in Europe are there so many cases of people struggling mentally? With depression, anxiety, struggling to make friends, becoming very introverted. Why do we have these mental health problems if, in theory, we live a very happy, successful life? Now, of course, this is subjective. When I say subjective, this means everyone will have a different opinion, perspective, understanding of this topic. And I am very aware that, climate change, war, politics at the moment, the cost of living, these cause us to be anxious and depressed, of course. But I'm not talking about those topics. What we will look at in here in this book today is our nature, our history as humans. Why our history, our ancestors, the people that came before us, have caused us to have these feelings, and why actually these feelings are not negative feelings, even though we are led to believe that they are. So if you are interested in psychology, sociology, the understanding of people, or you just want to learn something new today whilst also improving your English, stick around because I hope I can do that for you. If you are new here, you've never seen me before, my name is Catherine. I'm a business English teacher, but I also help anyone that wants to go from that intermediate to advanced level, even if they don't work in business. They just want to go from intermediate to advanced. And with this book today, that is exactly what we will do. It's an advanced topic. There is advanced vocabulary, and it's a very advanced understanding of the English language. Now, I do have linked down below a link to this book. It's not an advert. You don't have to buy it. But just to let you know, I link book recommendations for learning English, for business English, for medical English, and just reading for fun, my favorite books to read down below. It is an Amazon link, so if you don't like supporting Amazon, absolutely no problem. Just find the book in your local bookstore, your local library. It's always good to support smaller businesses, isn't it? So if you can find one of my book recommendations in your local bookstore, perfect. Now you may be thinking, why are we learning this? Why are we listening to you read today? So I just want to explain the benefits to you of a video like this. The first is you learn advanced vocabulary in context. Sometimes we learn lists of English words and we never see them in context. We never use them in context. So tomorrow or next week, you will forget those words. Probably I can guarantee that. You need to be using words in context and understanding the meaning as a whole rather than just the definition of the word. The second thing is listening to advanced English topics will help your comprehension and understanding. When your colleagues, when your friends, when a podcast you like to listen to talks about more advanced topics, you will have a higher understanding of what they're talking about if you challenge yourself. If you always watch videos like 10 English idioms or 10 vocabulary we like to use on a daily basis, that's fantastic, but it doesn't challenge you. And the only way we improve is by challenging ourselves. And the final thing, of course, is pronunciation. If you want to do a shadowing technique with this video, you absolutely can. I will put all the pages that I read from on the screen so you can read along. Now, enough introduction. I know it's very long. Sometimes I think people don't quite understand how to use the videos that are being created. There are thousands of English teachers on YouTube. You can find English teachers in every single topic, but sometimes we don't know how to use these videos. So if you want to learn vocabulary, I highly recommend you grab a pencil and a paper, write down any new words. If you're doing pronunciation, highly recommend you pause the video and repeat after me when necessary. And if you just want to listen, understand, comprehend, what I recommend you do is every couple of minutes, every sentence, every paragraph, pause the video, have a think for yourself what I've just said and what it could mean. Translate it into your own language, summarize it in English, maybe even write down your summary if that helps you. And these techniques will mean you get the most out of this video and you're not just watching me talk about a random topic. Okay, so let's get started then. Now, just to give you a bit of context, the first chapter goes through what I've just talked about, where we live in a very stable environment at the moment. There are lots of job opportunities. There are lots of ways you can make money. There are thousands of people in the world that you could make friends with if you wanted to. So why are we feeling so anxious and depressed? Why are mental health problems like depression, anxiety at the highest they have ever been? Now, of course, you could argue that people are more open about talking about these problems. So that could be a reason why. So bear that in mind. But just for context, he's just explained to us exactly what I've just said. And now we're going to look at why we have those feelings. Even though our lives are quite safe, secure, we can be grateful for what we have. We should be grateful for what we have. We are the survivors. Chapter 1. Extinction is the rule. Survival is the exception. Now, I want you to take a minute here to think for yourself. What does this quote mean? Extinction is the rule. Survival is the exception. How would you interpret this? What does it mean to you? Extinction is the rule. The rule being something that never changes. It's something that is always there. And of course, sad to say, us not being here, us dying, us not existing is guaranteed to happen. It's the only thing in life that is 100% guaranteed. You are born, you die. That's, it's just a fact. Survival is the exception. The exception, when we say something is an exception, it means it's the exception to the rule. It's the one thing that doesn't follow the rule. So in nature, everything is extinct at some point. Surviving is the one thing that you can do that goes against that rule. If you can survive, that's not guaranteed, but that's an exception to the rule. You are an exceptional animal species if you can survive. Extinction. A very good example of this, actually, and a small fun fact, is apparently cockroaches are expected to outlast everything. If there was a nuclear war, an explosion, we destroyed everything we know. Cockroaches could still survive. So they are the exception in this case. They would survive. A very powerful way to start chapter 1. So next, he moves on to explain a bit about how, in the past, those feelings of fear, of anxiety, were probably because you were in danger or could potentially be in danger. In the example he gives is going out to collect fruit or food, berries, bananas, coconuts, whatever it was that your forefathers, your ancestors, the people that came before you, went out to collect. Now, when these people felt, oh my gosh, there's something behind me, but they couldn't see it, but they could feel it. That feeling, they listened to that feeling because something inside them was telling them there's a tiger in the bushes about to eat you. Or there's a snake inside that coconut, don't touch it. It was telling them something to keep them alive. So we move on to today's world where it's more modern. We're not running away from tigers and snakes all of the time, and we're not trying to find coconuts for our lunch. Nowadays, coconuts are wrapped in plastic and we buy them for £5 at the supermarket or something ridiculous. When we think about it, it's obvious that none of your forefathers or foremothers could have died before bringing a child into this world. But this has consequences that are far less obvious. Those of Eve's descendants who reacted keenly to dangers and were particularly wary about that rustling in the bushes, which could have been a lion, had better odds of survival. And because you and I are descended from these survivors, we too have a heightened alertness to danger. Similarly, those of our ancestors who had a strong immune system had a greater chance of surviving an infectious disease, which is why most of us have an excellent immune system, even if it doesn't feel that way come February. So take a minute now to read that for yourself and try to understand, summarize what it means. For me, this means exactly what I've just explained. That this feeling of nervousness, of fear, of anxiety is to protect us. And we haven't lost this fear because we descend from those people that kept surviving. We are survivors. We didn't die. Our species didn't die out. We won the race. And of course, with genetics, with DNA, things are passed down to our children. So if you have a very heightened sense of survival, you are alert, your children will have the same feeling. Now, I want to go through some of the individual words here. So the first one is descendants. I've used this a couple of times now. So we have ancestors, descendants. We are descended from our ancestors. So D is lower, ancestors. Your ancestors are the first people that were here. Your great, 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 great grandmother. They set the way for you to come into this world. You are then descendants of those people. Keenly, reacted keenly. To do something keenly means to do it with a lot of energy, emotion, motivation. So to react keenly to danger is to acknowledge those feelings and instantly react to them. Rustling, this is a fantastic word. It's the sound when you hear something crinkling together, rustling together. So they hear a rustle in the bush and they think, oh my gosh, a lion is coming, a snake is coming, someone else is coming to steal whatever I am looking for. Better odds of survival. To have better odds at something is like betting. When you bet on something that has good odds, it means you're likely to win. If you bet on something that has bad odds, you're likely to lose. So the odds are the percentage, the ratio, the probability, the possibility of you winning. So better odds of survival means you have a higher percentage, higher possibility of surviving whatever the situation is. Heightened alertness. When we describe something as being heightened, it means increased. It's a very lovely word for increased. And alert, to be alert, is to notice things To not be kind of half asleep, you're noticing, you're looking around. Alertness is the noun for that feeling. If you have any comments as we go through this book, please feel free to write them below. I do look forward to seeing your comments and your interpretations of this as well. Now, this is an interesting paragraph. One further consequence of all this relates to our psychological traits. You see, those of Eve's descendants who had mental qualities that helped them to survive had a greater chance of doing just that. And as a result, you and I still bear those very same qualities. That we have an unbroken chain of survivors behind us, and that not one of them was killed by a lion, stumbled off the edge of a cliff, or starved before they could procreate. Procreate means to reproduce, make more life, have babies, should make us superhuman. We should be as smart as two-time Nobel Let me try again. We should be as smart as two-time Nobel... Someone help me. Nobel Prize winner Marie Curie, as wise as spiritual leader Mahatma Gandhi, and as cool as Jack Baer in the TV series 24. But are we really all that? So here, he just gives examples of very influential people. Because we've survived, because we've evolved, we should be the most intelligent species. And as a whole, I think we can agree that yes, we probably are. But there are some exceptions to the rule. Okay, this is very interesting. Our bodies are designed for survival and reproduction, not health. Our brains are designed for survival and reproduction, not well-being. What do you make of this quote? What does it mean to you? For me, it's the taking it back to our nature. Our nature, our natural instinct is to survive and to make more children that can continue to survive. Our natural instinct isn't to go to the gym, to go to yoga, to go on diets, to take vitamins for our well-being and health. Our body's natural instinct is just to survive, whatever that looks like, and create more children. Our brains are designed for survival and reproduction, not well-being. So again, our brains are there to help us survive, help us cope, help us live a life so that we can procreate. Very interesting. It's about the natural makeup of us, our bodies, our brains. It's not about what we know today. Of course, we live a very different life now, and we all know that doing yoga, exercising, spending time outdoors massively improves our mental health, our well-being, our quality of life. But if we take everything back to the basics, we are designed to survive and reproduce. Okay, the next chapter is called Why Do We Have Feelings? Oh, I have to give you some context first. So the situation is he's walking home from work. He's waiting to cross the road. He has his headphones in and he goes to step into the road and a bus comes past really fast. But just before he steps out into the road, he panics and steps back. So the bus misses him. So he's talking about this feeling of stepping back. Suddenly, it's as though an invisible force makes you jump backwards, just as a bus comes roaring past. You stand there, frozen on the edge of the curb. The curb is the higher part of the pavement. So you have the road, a higher part, pavement. We call this the curb. Less than a foot away from having been run over. Phew, that was close. No one around you has noticed what just happened, but for you, the whole world has stopped. The raindrops mix with your sweat as, pulse racing, you realize you just came within a hair's breadth of certain death. That could have been it for me, but luckily it wasn't, because something took control of you and snapped you out of your ponderings about deadlines, tidying up, cooking, something commanded you to take a step back. So pulse racing, your pulse is how quickly your blood moves around your body. And when someone is ill, goes to hospital, they often take your pulse, or sometimes we take our pulse here and you can feel the blood moving around your body. So to say pulse racing means it's going faster than usual. Hair's breadth of certain death. This is a fantastic phrase. A hair's breadth. So a hair is very, very small, isn't it? It's very thin. Breadth is like the width, the depth of something. So you were this close, a hair's width away from certain death. Snapped you out of your ponderings. To ponder means to think about something, but it doesn't give the feeling of thinking really difficult, hard, heavy things. It's like, oh, what shall I eat for dinner? Did I finish that deadline? And yes, it can be stressful. You can have stressful ponderings, but the phrase to ponder suggests that I'll think about this thing, then I'll think about this thing. It's very kind of relaxed. So this is interesting because this feeling of fear, it hasn't left us. The situation has changed. We are no longer running away from lions and tigers and snakes, but we have to step out of the road when a bus comes. Or when we go to a job interview, our heartbeat speeds up and we feel very scared. Not because we're probably going to die, but we might face an embarrassing situation. Or we might be put in an awkward situation that we can't control, we can't get out of. So we have this feeling of, I need to protect myself. In essence, feelings have just one purpose: to affect our behavior, and in doing so, to help us survive so that we can procreate. So let's go back to that basic need of survival and to procreate. Your feelings have just one purpose: to change your behavior, to keep you safe, so that you can live longer and procreate. Make babies. This sounds like a government ad, doesn't it? I promise this is not a political opinion. I'm not trying to encourage everyone to go out there and have children, and no. I just find this topic very, very interesting. I like psychology. I like sociology. So for me, this was interesting. Okay, so how we think, how we process these feelings. You can only focus on one thing at a time and have one broad thought on your mind at a time. As a result, your brain does almost all its work without you knowing a thing about it, and gives you a summary in the form of a feeling. How fantastic is that? You get a summary of all of these things going on in the form of fear, pain, sadness, anxiety. We can liken our attention to the CEO of a major corporation. If the CEO asks a group of employees to review an important matter, the CEO will say, "I don't have time for this. Summarize what you think I should do in half a page." Our feelings are a summary, and they are there to guide our behavior. Very, very interesting. Sometimes when you feel scared, anxious, stressed, you tell yourself this is a bad thing. I'm not doing well enough. I'm panicking. Why am I scared? Why am I nervous? I shouldn't be. But if you think about the nature of these feelings, what they prepare us for, this is very interesting, because actually those feelings are protecting you. They are a good thing. They might not feel like a good thing, but they are there meant for positive reasons. I know this is a very, very advanced topic and it's a long video, but there's just one extra section I want to talk about, and then I will summarize. So bear with me. And I do feel that perhaps this will be too advanced for some people, and I'm sorry if you feel that way. I'm sorry if you feel that it's not encouraging, but I think based on the conversations I have with my students and that I have in the comments, most people have a very good understanding of English. They just don't have the opportunity to practice talking about advanced conversations. Advanced topics. We don't talk about conversations. Advanced topics. So why happily is never ever after? So for context again, this chapter, he talks about how sometimes we chase happiness, and when we can't get happiness, we don't feel happy, we see that as a negative. We see that as, oh, I wasn't happy today, I was bored today, I was sad today, therefore my day is wasted, or therefore I'm not going to try as much tomorrow. We're always chasing this happiness. We believe we should be, and we are entitled to be happy every day. But here he goes on to explain why being happy every day is not a good thing. So he gives an example of Eve. He's called this person Eve. So Eve goes out to buy. Eve goes out to find food. She sees a bunch of beautiful looking bananas. She climbs the tree, she picks a banana, and she eats it. And she feels happy for the next 6 months. Wow, that was delicious. That was so great. I'm really pleased I took the effort to go and find that banana and eat it. 6 months she feels like this. So she doesn't go out and find another banana because this feeling lasts for 6 months. But a human can't live longer than a week without food. So Eve would not survive. Because this happy feeling is lasting so long, she has no motivation to go out and find another banana. If she was hungry, if she was tired, these negative feelings would encourage her to go and find a new banana, wouldn't it? She would feel hungry, she would go out again. So he's describing happiness as the same thing. If we get something and it makes us happy for the rest of our lives, we would never try and do anything else. We would have no motivation to go out and try anything new because we are happy every day. But it's those feelings of boredom, loneliness, sadness that make us go out and try new things, try to find something else that makes us happy. Why happily is never ever after? What I have just described helps us to understand why we can't feel great all the time. Let's say Eve did decide to climb that tree and manage to get her hands on bananas. Satisfied, she sat down and tucked in. Tucked in is a very British way of saying to eat your food and enjoy your food. But for how long could she afford to feel satisfied? As it happens, not all that long. Had her satisfaction from that effort lasted a matter of months, she would have had no motivation to seek out more food and would have starved to death. This means that feelings of well-being are supposed to be fleeting. Fleeting is an excellent word that means passes very quickly. If something is fleeting, you can't hold on to it. The fleeting feeling of happiness. Falling in love for the first time is a fleeting moment. It passes quickly. As otherwise, they would be unfit for purpose, i.e., for motivating us. Most of us will, of course, know this feeling all too well. We think that if we could just get this or that promotion at work, a new car, a bigger pay package, or a perfect bathroom, we would be happy with our lot. Our lot refers to everything we have, our lot. But should any or all of that actually happen? It turns out that the feeling is quickly replaced by a new longing for an even better promotion, an even bigger pay rise. As we know, it never ends. Longing is the feeling of I want something, I long for something. It's more than want. If I long for you, I miss you so much, I want you so badly. If I long for a new pair of shoes, maybe I've never had a new pair of shoes. It's more than want. Well-being often tends to rank highly in lists of what we think matters most in life. But this state is just one of many tools in our evolutionary toolbox. And as a tool, it's ineffective if it isn't fleeting. Therefore, expecting to always feel great is about as unrealistic as expecting that banana on the kitchen counter to keep you full for the rest of your life. We just aren't built that way. So it is sad that happiness doesn't last forever. It's only 1 or 2 days, but we can see from the research, from the understanding of Dr. Anders Hansen, that happiness is meant to be like that. We're not meant to be happy every day, because if we were, we wouldn't try anything new. We wouldn't try and evolve. We wouldn't try and improve our lives. And often I think we have boring days where we don't know what to do, our friends are busy, but in those days we come up with new ideas, something you want to try. Maybe you go on YouTube and learn something new. You try yoga for the first time. You learn a language. You say to yourself, by the end of this year, I want to be able to read a Japanese comic without having to translate it. In those moments of boredom, we find new ideas, creativity, new goals that we want. I'm going to end today's video on his he had 10 top insights, but if I went through the whole book for you today, it would be too long. I literally did maybe 20 pages. But if I find more interesting information in this book as I read it, I will make a second video. And if you like this topic, you like this video, let me know and I will do a follow-up. So his 3 top insights. You are a survivor. We have not evolved for health or happiness, but for survival and reproduction. Feeling great all the time is an unrealistic goal. We just aren't built that way. Number 2, feelings are there to affect your behavior, and they are supposed to change. Feelings are generated when the brain combines what is going on inside you with what is going on around you. The body's internal state has a greater role to play in our feelings than most people think. And finally, anxiety and depression are often defense mechanisms. They are a normal part of human nature and do not mean you are damaged or sick. They have absolutely nothing to do with shortcomings in your character. A shortcoming is something you can't do as well as others. So that last one is saying, if you feel anxious, if you are depressed, it doesn't mean you are less than other people. It just means you have more attention to these feelings. Maybe these feelings are stronger in you than they are in someone else, but we all have some level of these feelings. And if we look at history, our ancestors, they used to be and can be in some situations a positive thing because they protect us. They warn us about something. Okay, I'm going to stop talking now because my throat hurts. If you like this video, please let me know down below. I read all your comments. There is one person that I know will tell me I'm a bad teacher, I'm talking too fast, I'm pronouncing things wrong. I know it can be very difficult to find a good English teacher when everyone on the internet is claiming to be an English teacher. The thing I think is important is find someone that you can relate to, that you like to listen to. And if that's not me, that's absolutely fine. But if you like listening to me, if you like the videos I create, the topics I talk about, then you are more likely to remember this vocabulary, these expressions next week because you've learned from someone you're actually interested in listening to. I want to leave you with one final quote today, and I'm interested to see what you make of this quote. There is a comedian in the UK called Jimmy Carr. His jokes are not that funny in my opinion, but he's a very famous comedian in the UK. And he said something recently that was very interesting to me, and I'd be very interested to see what you interpret this as. He said, happiness is quality of life minus jealousy. Happiness is quality of life minus jealousy. I think this is completely true. We all chase happiness. We all want to understand what happiness is. But this quote is perfect. Quality of life minus jealousy. What do you think that means? What do you understand it to mean? Thank you for your support today. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you have not already. And I will see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.